All right, folks, it's time for our next 223 video, and the bullet we're going to be testing is the 62 grain Speer Gold Dot. These haven't been out very long, and it's a pretty exciting addition to the 224 diameter bullet lineup, if you ask me. Those of you who use 223 for hunting or personal protection, this might be a pretty sweet new option. And the plan today is to test them not only for accuracy, but we'll also put some into some ballistics gel and see how they expand. Now, they came out with a 55 grain version and a 62 grain version here in 22 caliber. And I went with the 62 grain version, but since the time I bought these, they've also released a 75 grain version. I didn't even know until I started looking on the Speer website for load data, and I saw they had load data for 75 grainers, and I didn't even know they existed. So I found some, I think it was at Mid-South Shooter Supply, and I've got those on order. So I'm going to be testing the 75 grain version of this guy as well. But today's all about the 62 grainer. As I just mentioned, Speer has got some pretty sweet load data on their website. For this bullet, they've got both 223 Remington and also 5.56 load data. It's pretty much the same powders, but your 5.56 load data is a little bit hotter. And they use overall lengths, which is kind of weird because on the 5.56 side, they use 2.260 inch, which is our normal magazine length for the AR platform like we're going to be shooting today. But over on the 223 side of things, they used a shorter overall length. I think it was 2.230. I'm not sure what that's all about. That's a little bit weird. The other problem is I can't find anywhere on this load data where they mention what barrel length they're using to get the velocities they're reporting. So I don't know. The 223 charge weights are lower, but the velocities are higher. So I'm assuming they used a 24 or 26 inch barrel for the 223 data and then used an 18 or 20 for the 5.56. I don't know. Now, the good news about this load data is they use a whole bunch of my favorite powders. So the first one we're going to be testing with today is Alliant Power Pro 2000 MR. We have found this powder to get some incredible velocities in 223. It's not always the most accurate powder you're going to find, but it's consistently gets you the highest velocities. So 2000 MR is going to be our first powder. Our second powder is going to be IMR 8208 XBR. This is becoming one of my favorite powders to test pure accuracy. It can't always get you the highest velocities, right? We're going to be much faster with Power Pro 2000 MR, but I have much higher confidence that we're going to see the very best accuracy with IMR 8208 XBR. So those are the two powders I tested. So we're going to go off of the 5.56 load data, and the max charge with Power Pro 2000 MR is 30.2 grains. 30 grains in a 223 case. That's pretty crazy. I did measure out one of the max charges to make sure it was going to fit in the case, and it's actually not too bad. Comes up right to about the bottom of the neck. I think we're going to have room to seat the bullet. I want to shoot 0.4 of a grain increments, which takes us all the way down to 28.6 for a starting charge. On the 8208 XBR side of things, I want to go up to 25.4 grains. We're going to shoot the same 0.4 of a grain increments. That puts us starting at 23.8. The primer for today is going to be the Remington 7.5 small rifle bench rest primers. I normally use CCI 41s in these videos, but I'm running a little bit low, and I've got plenty of the Remington 7.5s laying around, so that's what we're going to use here today. The brass is the same batch of Lake City 2014 head stamp brass that we've been shooting for a little while here in our 223 videos. I've already got these guys primed. They're cleaned up and sized and trimmed, and the case mouth has been chamfered. All that stuff's done. I'm ready for powder and bullets. So let's see. Overall length, we're going to go with 2.260, our full magazine length. I did check this bullet in my gun, and it hits the lands right about 2.305 inches. So we're going to have about 45 thousandths of jump to the lands, which is pretty reasonable. So I guess that's about it. This is going to be a quick video here today, folks. I'm ready to start weighing powder, and I'll probably spare you that. So I'll see you here in just a minute over at the bullet seating die. Okay, folks, I don't expect any drama here with bullet seating, but I am using a new bullet seating die for the first time here in 223. I picked this up for 224 Valkyrie because I was having a lot of problems in that cartridge finding a good bullet seating die. This is the Hornady custom grade bullet seating die, and I've got the what they call the Micro Just seating stem on here. A little bit rusty. I need to keep these things oiled better, but I'm getting rust on lots of stuff these days. The humidity got out of control here in my house a little bit, this summer. But okay, well, whatever. What the hell am I talking about? The Hornady custom grade die. The first one of these I got was for 6.5 millimeter. It really impressed me. I bought a 30 caliber one, and then now I've got a 22 caliber one. This die represents a great value, and it gets you to a micro adjustable seating die cheaper than just about any other way, because the standard seating die here, yeah, there's the package, the 44102. The standard seating die is pretty inexpensive, and then this micro just seating stem is an additional 20 or 25 bucks. The other really cool thing about these seating dies is they have different seating stems you can get, or I guess in 22 caliber, this is the only other seating stem that's available except the one that comes with it, but this one is for the 75 and 80 grain ELD match and AMAX. So it gives you a couple options, you know, it gives you a couple stems. What I found with this bullet is that it actually preferred this ELD seating stem. It gave me the best fit. So the one that's in this package is actually the one that comes with the die. I guess I probably should just show you. Let me pop out the seating stem here. There it is. And if we drop this guy down onto a bullet, you can see it kind of wiggles a good bit. It's not a perfect fit, a little bit wobbly. But if we look at the other one, yeah, here's the other one. This is the one that comes with that seating die. The wobbliness is even worse. So this is a situation where we don't really have a perfect fit available, but at least we had a couple options that got us a little bit better. This guy wobbles just a touch less than that guy. Now the good news here though, even though our 2000 MR charge of 30.2 grains is a pretty full case, we're still not going to be compressing a whole lot here with this bullet. So here's how you set up this guy. You take a piece of brass, you put it in your press, and you run it all the way up. Then we screw down the die until we feel it touch. There it was right there. So that's where it's hitting the case. We want to back out at least one turn, and what I'll generally do is I'll go one turn, so there's one turn, then I'll keep turning a little bit further until I can see the graduated scale on the side here, and then tighten down the lock ring. So there we go. We're actually about a turn and a half up from where we were touching the case. So now we're ready to try and seat some bullets. These, if you happen to watch the 6.5 millimeter, the 6.5 Creedmoor video with these gold dots, you'll know that we had a little bit of a problem, or it's not really even a problem, but it's here, it's the same way here in 222. The bow tail, even though this bullet does have a little bit of a boat tail, it doesn't provide much for the case mouth to grip a hold of. So these are almost like seating flat base bullets. You got to kind of hold it in place while you bring the case up into the seating die. So let's go ahead and seat the first one here. Our target overall length is 2.260. Doesn't feel like that touched anything at all, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the adjustment down. There we go. I can feel it touching. And let me go a little bit further. That's almost 100 thousandths. There we go. So now that seated it down into that case mouth a little bit. Our target overall length is 2.260, and you can see we're at 2.426. The good thing about the scale, let's go down to 150 thousandths. Each turn is 50 thousandths, and there's a little scale here, so I can see there's 50, there's 100, there's 150. So let's seat it again. Yep, 2.278, so we're actually 18 thousandths long, which makes sense because this first load I'm using, these are the ones we're going to shoot into ballistics gel. They've got the 30.2 grain load of Power Pro 2000 MR, so pretty compressed charge. So let's go down 18 thousandths, and that should be pretty close. And I'll go ahead and seat a second guy just to be sure. This guy's 2.263. This guy's 2.261. So I'll tell you what, we'll go down, let's go two more, and we'll call that good enough. I'll seat all 5 of these guys, and we'll get a bit of an average measurement. All right, 2.262, 2.261, 2.260, 2.258, and 2.262. Good, so we're right there around where we need to be. Now, those were some of our most compressed charges, and the next ones I want to seat have a bit less powder. So if I just use this setting, it's going to seat it a little bit too deep. I'm going to go ahead and back out 10 thousandths, and then let's seat one of these guys and see just how long it is. Yeah, it's not bad. So that one's 2.268. So let's see what the next guy gives us here. 2.267. Next guy, 2.266. So it looks like between our most compressed and least compressed charge of 2000 MR, we got maybe 3 thousandths of difference in overall length. So I need to go ahead and go back down 7 thousandths, which should put us just about where we need to be. So this row will be just about perfect, and I'm going to have 2 or 3 thousandths of difference to adjust out as I go along. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, as we get a little bit more compressed, I'm going to have to keep turning on the seating die just a little bit to maintain that same overall length. 2.260, 2.258, 2.259, and the last guy in this row is 2.262. Good, that'll still fit in the magazine. No worries there. So that's about it, folks. I just need to get the rest of these guys seated, and we're ready to go ahead and hit the range. All right, folks, it has been 2 weeks since I filmed the first part of this here video. So I've had to go back to my notes here to remember what the hell we're even doing. Okay, we're shooting the 62gr Speer Gold Dot. I'm really excited about today's test because I fired the 6.5mm version of this bullet and the groups were awesome. So I'm hoping this 62gr 22 caliber version is going to shoot awesome as well. We are shooting at 100 yards. The dots down there are 1 inch in diameter. This is an 18-inch White Oak Armament SPR barrel with a 1-in-8 twist, 18 inches long, a mid-length gas system. It is put into a Palmetto State Armory upper. I'm shooting through a Silencer Co. Omega suppressor, and we're using a magnetospeed chronograph hanging off of there as well. All right, let's get started. The gun's warmed up. I put about 20 shots through it, getting the scope zeroed. So we should be ready to go. First up is Power Pro 2000 MR, 28.6 grains. Let's see if they'll shoot. Okay, so I chased down that first piece of brass, not seeing any major signs of pressure. The velocity of that first shot was 2,994 feet per second, but I didn't really write in my notes here what sort of velocity I was expecting from this. So I don't know, that seems about right, I guess. Let's see if they'll group. All right, that's a pretty good start. Velocity 2976 and a standard deviation of 11.6. And the other 4 pieces of brass look pretty good as well. So we're moving on. 29.0 grains is next. Yeah, a little bit of horizontal stringing there. I was fighting my bag set up just a little bit on that one. Dang it. All right, next up, 29.4 grains. Yeah, so I kind of choked a little bit there on that last shot. I'm just wondering, so if this bullet seems to be shooting this well with Power Pro 2000 MR, how good are those groups going to be once we get to 8208 XBR? I don't know. I better check that brass. So the brass looks good. I've had a few ejector swipes here and there, but this brass has got several firings on it at this point. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's old and what's new, but none of it looks really bad. So we're moving on. 29.8 grains is next. Yeah, last shot kind of got me on that group as well. Okay, brass still looks okay. Last up with 2000 MR is 30.2 grains. So let's make them count and finish off with a good group here. All right, that's a pretty good finish for 2000 MR. 3124 feet per second, 9.5 feet per second standard deviation. The brass still looks okay, nothing scary pressure-wise, and some pretty decent groups. So I'm gonna give the barrel a few minutes to cool down, rest my eyes a little bit, and then we'll move on to 8208 XBR. All right, time to get back to it. 8208 XBR, first up is 23.8 grains. Okay, so much for better standard deviations. We had one shot that was high, 2806, that kind of messed things up a little bit. It was the second shot. Yeah, interesting. No pressure signs on the brass, so we're moving on. 24.2 grains is next. All right, so that was a little bit better group. Next up, 24.6. So I'm starting to see just a little bit of an ejector mark on the brass, but a couple other things here have got me a little bit worried as well. Like we jumped up 80 feet per second from the 24.2 up to 24.6, where the first jump we only gained like 35 feet per second. Plus our standard deviations are looking gross. Velocity's a little bit all over the place. So here with 25.0 grains, I'm gonna keep my eye on the brass and the velocity. All right, so that time we gained 40 feet per second and our standard deviation got much better to 7.9. I don't know. The brass still looks okay. A couple shiny spots on a few pieces, but nothing to freak out about. So we're gonna go ahead and finish her off here, 25.4 grains. All right, so the first three shots looked really good, but the final result isn't that bad either. We made it up to pretty much 3,000 feet per second. So let's take a quick detour by the ballistic gel and then get back to the bench. All right, so for our ballistic gel test, I shot a total of 3 shots and recovered 2. And these guys are some of the prettiest little mushrooms you are ever going to see. The expansion is just crazy uniform. It peels back into 5 petals, and you can see since they're bonded, Like the lead is even there all the way out to the end of the petals. That's where a normal, yeah, here's an example of a normal bullet that expanded really nicely, but you'll see the petals that peel away. The jacket generally separates from the core. Not a big deal, but you do lose a little bit of weight here, but these guys don't seem to have lost anything. So I did test these at short range. I was like 10 yards from the ballistic gel blocks when I shot them. The velocity, this was with 2000 MR, so the velocity on these was a little over 3,100 feet per second, so about 3124 is what we got on the range. So nice high velocity and definitely complete and total expansion. I tried to dig all of the gel I could out of there, but there's still some gel left over. It's going to mess with our weight measurement just a little bit. And speaking of that, let's grab a scale and see what these guys weigh. Okay, here's the first one, 59.3, and the second is 59.2. So they lost less than 3 grains. Well, we've got to allow for that gel has a little bit of weight, so I don't know, maybe 5 grains. You know, I never did weigh any new ones. Let's weigh one of these guys and see how close to 62 they are. 62.3, 62.3, 61.9. So they start off right around 62. And when they expand, you only lose a couple grains. That's incredible. Okay, now penetration was right around 16 inches, like 15 to 17 inches. The gel blocks I have are 16 inches long. They're the blocks from Clear Ballistics. So one of them was just right at the end of the first block, and the other one just barely went into the second block. So 15 to 17 inches, not a ridiculously huge amount of penetration, and just some incredible, uniform, devastating expansion. I love the way these performed. I could not be happier, and I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and show you the bullets from the 6.5 millimeter video. This is the 140 grain Speer Gold Dot in 6.5 millimeter. Same expansion pattern with the 5 petals, just extremely uniform. So all of these gold dots I shot into gel performed really well. So let's look at the brass really quick. There's really only a couple pieces I want to show you. Here are a couple pieces from our max charge of 2000 MR. They look great. They look great. Just a little bit of a shiny spot there, and I think I saw, yeah, there's one on that guy. Nothing to freak out about at all. So we didn't hit anything scary with 2000 MR, and really it's the same way with 8208 XBR. The ejector marks, I can't even tell if I'm getting them on camera, but they're there. They're a little bit more pronounced. There, I think it's that guy. Yeah, right around the C there, a little bit of a circle. But yeah, nothing to freak out about. Good looking primers, and pressure signs weren't a problem today. Okay, so now let's have a look at the groups. Overall, pretty darn good. We had a couple crusty groups with each of the powders. On the top row with Power Pro 2000 MR, right there in the middle, 29.4 was the best group we shot today. But the top charge, 30.2 grains, was a pretty small group as well. We made it up to 3,124 feet per second. I did finally go back to the Speer website. They predicted 3,180 for 223, 3,180 for 5.56 and 3,208 for 223. So we were 60 to 80 feet per second slower than what they predicted, which is no surprise since we've got a short little 18-inch barrel, right? So velocity good. We did have 2 groups over an inch. That second and the fourth groups kind of wanted to spread them a little bit horizontal. But I'll tell you what, this isn't the last you're going to see of this bullet. I'm really impressed with it, and if we come back to 2000 MR, we'll be exploring that top range, maybe up around 30.2, or maybe that middle range around 29.4. These are very good results. So the other powder, 8208 XBR, I'm a little bit disappointed. We did shoot some pretty good groups. The second group was a 686, the fourth group was a 649, that last group, a 708, was a pretty good looking group, but we had a couple ugly ones, and also the standard deviation numbers were all over the place. Our velocity just was not very stable. And I realized afterwards one of the reasons why that might be, this is the can of 8208 XBR that I was using, and you'll notice it has the metal lid. This is the older Hodgson and IMR lid. I'm afraid this can might actually be one of my grandpa's old cans, and I'm not sure how old it is or how long it's been open. You know, powder will stay for a very long time and stay good, you know, if it's stored in a reasonable temperature and all of that stuff. But once you crack it open, start using it, it loses a little bit of that shelf life. This stuff doesn't smell weird or anything. 8208 XBR does have a pretty strong smell anyway, and this stuff doesn't smell bad, but I don't know. The velocities were fine. They weren't I was expecting really good standard deviations numbers with 8208 XBR, and that's one possible cause. Yeah, here's what the new plastic lid looks like. And I don't remember exactly when they made that switch. Maybe it's only a few years old. I don't know. But I think next time we try 8208 XBR, we'll use the newer lot number. Velocity with 8208 XBR was pretty good. We made it to 2993, basically 3,000 feet per second. And the Speer data predicted 3,064 in 223 and 3,024 in 556. So we're around 30 and 70, something like that. Pretty close to the gap we had with 2000 MR. So what more could you ask for here, folks? This is a really good shooting bullet. I'll probably put up the 6.5 millimeter video at the same time I put up this one. It also shot really well. It also performed really well in gel. So this just seems to be a fantastic line of bullets. Did I mention that they're not ridiculously expensive? Let me look it up. Hold on. Stand by. Yeah, the 22 caliber versions are running right at 20 bucks, like $19.99 or a little bit less for boxes of 100. So that's an extremely good deal if you ask me. For this sort of performance, for that sort of expansion, the 6.5 millimeter version I think is about 30 cents a piece. So I guess 20 to 30 cents is kind of the price range they're in. That's pretty competitive. So overall, you know, big thumbs up here for the Speer Gold Dot 62 grain 22 bullet. My stupid order with the 75 grainers is back ordered. So I'm not sure when I'm going to get those, but when I do, I'll be making a video on those guys. So I think these are just downright useful. So these have definitely jumped to the top of my list for butt-kicking 5.56 and 223 bullets. So that's it, folks. That's where we'll wrap it up, and I will see you guys next time.